Dr. D. Prem Anand. He has pursued his Masters, his MPhil and PhD in Physics from Loyola College, Madras University. He has been actively doing research since 2004. His area of specialization is crystal growth and its characterizations, nanomaterials and polymers which are used in solid-state batteries. He is guiding 6 more research scholars in the field of crystal growth, nanoscience and polymer science. He has published more than 75 research papers and he currently works as a professor of physics at St. Xavier's College, Palayamkotte, Tamil Nadu.
Welcome to UGC lecture series in physics for BSc Physics Honours. We are discussing the topic on thermal physics. In the previous lecture, we discussed about the equation of state, what is the zeroth law of thermodynamics, the definition of first law of thermodynamics, what are its significance and what are its limitations. In this lecture, we are going to discuss the following topics. The topics are outlined as follows: internal energy as a state function, specific heat of a gas, the concept of heat, what is a thermodynamic equilibrium, what is a quasi-static process, and what are all the concepts pertaining to cooling due to adiabatic reversible process, and how to derive second order Ehrenfest phase transition. Let us now discuss about the internal energy of a state function. Let us say that some amount of Q, that is heat, is supplied to a working substance. So, when a certain quantity of heat is supplied to a working substance, some amount of work is done by the system. Therefore, due to this work, the system goes from state 1, that is initial state, to the final state 2. So, when the system goes from initial state 1 to the final state 2, we can express the increase in the internal energy of the system as U2 minus U1 plus W is equal to Q. So, therefore, this equation can be written as U2 minus U1 is equal to Q minus W, where U1 is the internal energy of the state 1 and U2 is the internal energy of the state 2, W is the work done by the system and Q is the quantity of heat supplied to the system. If the state of the system is changed from say initial state 1 to the final state 2, and if there are different paths say B or C, it is found experimentally that the difference Q minus W is the same for all the paths between the states 1 and state 2. From this, we conclude that when a system changes from one state to the another, the change of internal energy of the system has a definite value. Therefore, independent of the paths between the two states. Hence, internal energy is called a state function or a point function, but it is not a path function. In other words, the internal energy is a function of any two of the thermodynamical variables, either it may be pressure and volume or pressure and temperature or volume and temperature. Therefore, this can be written as a function as U is equal to, it is f of P comma V. Therefore, this equation can be expressed in the differential form as du is equal to, it is dou u by dou P at constant volume into dP plus it is dou u by dou V at constant pressure into dP. So, therefore, this is called a perfect differential equation of thermodynamical variables pressure and volume. and therefore, this internal energy is an extensive variable. What is a specific heat capacity of a gas? In order to understand about the specific heat capacity of a gas, let us now discuss about the heat capacity. We know that the different materials have different capacity to absorb heat to produce a given change of temperature in a given mass. If a material of mass m absorbs a heat q so that the change in temperature is delta T, then I can say the heat capacity is equal to, it is q by delta T, where q is the absorption of heat and delta T is the temperature. And what is specific heat capacity? The heat capacity per unit mass is known as the specific heat, and it is denoted by C, or the specific heat capacity is defined as the ratio of the heat capacity to mass, or specific heat capacity is equal to heat capacity divided by mass, or in terms of equation I can write Q is equal to, it is mc delta T, where Q is the quantity of heat, m is the mass, C is the specific heat capacity, and delta T is the temperature. So, from this equation I can write what is C. C is equal to, it is Q divided by m delta T, and this is the expression for specific heat capacity. Therefore, the specific heat of a material is defined as the quantity of heat required to raise the temperature of a unit mass of a material through 1 degree. The specific heat capacity can be expressed in two units. One, it can be expressed in CGS unit, centimeter gram second, and also it can be expressed in kilogram meter second. The unit in CGS is calories per gram per degree centigrade. In SI unit, it is represented as joule per kilogram per degree centigrade. For example, the specific heat of water is equal to 1 calorie gram per degree centigrade. When you convert this 1 calorie per gram per centigrade, I can write into SI unit as 1 kilocalories per kilogram per degree centigrade, that is equal to 4.18 into 10 power 3 joules per kilogram centigrade. Therefore, this definition is sufficient for solids and liquids. Since the gases are compressible, the specific heat of a gas may vary from 0 to a large number, say infinity. For example, if a gas is compressed, therefore, whenever a gas is compressed, its temperature rises without supplying any heat, and therefore, the specific heat is 0. On the contrary, if the gas is allowed to expand freely without any rise in temperature, that is, if the temperature is 0, then I can say C is equal to Q divided by m delta T is equal to infinity. Hence, the specific heat of a gas is defined by considering any one of the two variables, either pressure or volume as a constant. Thus, a gas has two specific heats. One is Cp is called the specific heat capacity at constant pressure. The other is Cv, that is the specific heat capacity at constant volume. And what is specific heat capacity at constant pressure? The specific heat capacity at constant pressure is defined as the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of unit mass of a gas through 1 degree centigrade when its pressure is kept constant. It is represented by Cp, and its value is given by Cp is equal to delta Q by delta T at constant pressure. What is specific heat capacity at constant volume? The specific heat capacity at constant volume is defined as the amount of heat required to raise the temperature of a unit mass of a gas through 1 degree centigrade when its volume is kept constant. It is represented by Cv is equal to delta Q by delta T at constant volume. And let us now discuss the cases what happens if the specific heat capacity at constant pressure is greater than the specific heat capacity at constant volume. Let us say a heat is supplied to a gas, and after supplying heat to a gas, the gas is allowed to expand under constant pressure. Therefore, the heat supplied has two processes. Number one, it raises the temperature of the gas, or in other words, it increases the internal energy. Point number two, it does not work in expanding the gas against the external pressure. Therefore, I can write this as equation as delta Q is equal to, it is du plus delta W, or this can be written as delta Q is equal to delta du. So, W is equal to P into V, that is pressure into volume. Therefore, I can write delta W is equal to P into dV. So, substituting this value, I can write P into dV. Therefore, delta Q is equal to du plus P dV. On the other hand, when a gas is heated at constant volume, no work is done. Therefore, the amount of heat if you supply to the system raises its temperature. Therefore, a large number of heat is required for increasing the temperature of the gas through 1 degree centigrade at constant pressure than at constant volume. Hence, the specific heat of a gas at a constant pressure is greater than the specific heat capacity at a constant volume. That is, Cp is greater than Cv. Now, let us discuss the concept of heat. What is heat? Heat is a form of energy. That is, the law of conservation of energy states that energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. Energy which disappears in one form will reappear in another form without any loss. Therefore, according to the statement, heat is also a form of energy. This heat energy can be converted into one form into the another form, and we can compare heat and work parallelly. That is, as it is not possible to speak of work in a body, it is also not possible to speak heat in a body. Therefore, work is either done on a body or by a body. Similarly, this heat can flow from a body to a body. If a body is at a constant temperature, it has both mechanical and thermal energies due to the molecular agitations, and therefore, it is not possible to separate them because both mechanical or thermal energies are in contact with each other. So, in this case, we cannot talk of the heat energy. It means, if the flow of heat stops, the word heat cannot be used. Therefore, it is only used when there is a transfer of energy between two or more systems. Let us consider two systems. Let us represent the two systems as capital A and capital B, and let us say these systems are in thermal contact with each other, and these systems are surrounded by adiabatic walls. Therefore, for a system A, applying the first law of thermodynamics, I can write it as an equation like this, that is, Q dash is equal to U2 minus U1 plus W, where Q dash is the quantity of heat supplied, U1 is the internal energy of the state 1, and U2 is the internal energy of the state 2, and W is the work done by the system. This is for the system A. Similarly, for the system B, we can write it as Q dash is equal to, it is U2 dash minus U1 dash plus W dash. So, this equation is applicable for the system B. Therefore, we have two equations, one equation for system A and other equation for system B. Therefore, adding this equation, that is, I am going to add Q and Q dash. So, therefore, since Q is equal to, it is U2 minus U1 plus W, adding this Q and Q dash, I can write it is U2 plus U2 dash minus U1 plus U1 dash plus W plus W dash. Adding this, this is Q, and this is Q dash. So, this is equation 1, this is equation 2. I am adding this two equation. By adding this two equation, the equation yields Q plus Q dash is equal to U2 plus U2 dash minus U1 plus U1 dash plus W plus W dash. Therefore, the total change in the internal energy of the system is U2 plus U2 dash minus U1 plus U1 dash. Therefore, this U2 plus U2 dash is W and U1 plus U1 dash is W dash. So, from this equation, it is clear that the heat transferred by the composite system is Q plus Q dash. Since the composite systems is surrounded by an adiabatic walls, and therefore, the net heat transferred is 0. So, therefore, I can write, since the system is surrounded by an adiabatic walls, the total heat is always 0, then I can write Q is equal to minus Q dash. Thus, for the two systems A and B, which are in thermal contact with each other, and if the composite wall is surrounded by an adiabatic wall, the heat gained by the one system is equal to the, this is the heat gained by the one system is equal to the heat lost by the other system. So, that is why you have a negative sign in this equation, Q is equal to minus Q dash. And what is a thermodynamic equilibrium? Any state of a homogeneous system in which any two of the variables, we have three variables, pressure, volume and temperature. If you take any two of the variables constant, as long as the external conditions remains unchanged, it is said to be in thermal equilibrium. Therefore, a system in thermodynamic equilibrium must satisfy the following requirements. Number 1, what is a mechanical equilibrium and what is a thermal equilibrium and what is a chemical equilibrium. So, there are three equilibriums in a thermodynamic equilibrium. Let us now discuss what is a mechanical equilibrium. A system is said to be in mechanical equilibrium if there is no any movement with the system, that is, no force should act on the system with respect to the surroundings. And similarly, what is a thermal equilibrium? A system is said to be in a thermal equilibrium if provided there should not be any temperature difference between the system and the surroundings. And what is a chemical equilibrium? A system is said to be in chemical equilibrium if there is no any chemical reaction between the system and the surroundings. What is a quasi-static process? A finite unbalanced force may cause the system to pass through non-equilibrium states. So, from this explanation, we can define what is a quasi-static process. A quasi-static process is defined as the process in which the deviation from the thermodynamic equilibrium is infinitely small, and all the states through which the system passes during a quasi-static process can be considered as equilibrium states. Therefore, from all this explanation, it is clear that a quasi-static process is an ideal concept which can never be satisfied in practice. But however, in actual practice, many processes closely approach to quasi-static process with no significant error. And what is cooling due to adiabatic reversible process? In order to explain about the cooling due to adiabatic reversible process, we can show that when a thermodynamic system, say for example, a reversible cell or a film or a polymer or a stretched wire or a paramagnetic salt is made to undergo an adiabatic process, when it is done, the temperature of the system changes. Due to this, the gas expands with these parameters. What are those parameters? Pressure, volume and temperature. For a stretched wire, the important thermodynamic parameters are force, length and temperature of the wire. Here, pressure and volume are considered to be constant. And for a paramagnetic salt, the magnetic field, the intensity of magnetization and the temperature are the thermodynamic parameters. So, in all these cases, let us now calculate what is the work done dW for this process. So, for this process I can write W is equal to P into V. So, therefore, I can write dW is equal to P into dV. So, in stretching the wire, the work done is dW is equal to minus F dot dl, where F is the stretching force of the wire and dl is a small length change in the wire. Similarly, for a paramagnetic salt in a magnetic field, the work done dW is equal to, it is minus H into dl. Therefore, we assume here that the work done by the system is positive. For example, whenever a gas expands, the gas does work against pressure and therefore, it is the case, therefore, the work is done by tension F to produce a change in length through dl, because the wire by itself wants to contract due to elasticity and it will not expand. Therefore, the same is the true for the case for a paramagnetic salt in a magnetic field, that is dW is equal to minus H into dl. dW is equal to H into, it is di, where H is called the intensity of the magnetization. Therefore, a general formula which will describe the above three systems can be written as dW is equal to, it is x into dx, where x is called the generalized force and dx is called the generalized extension. Similarly, for a gas expansion, I can write x is equal to P and dx is equal to dV. Similarly, for stretching a wire, I can write x is equal to F and dx is equal to di. Similarly, for a paramagnetic salt in a magnetic field, x is equal to minus H and dx is equal to di. Therefore, from the first law of thermodynamics, I can write delta Q is equal to du plus delta W. So, for an adiabatic process, delta Q will be 0. Therefore, I can write du plus delta W is equal to 0. So, therefore, du is equal to minus delta W. So, this is the equation we are getting. Therefore, in terms of generalized parameters, I can write du is equal to minus x into dx, but for an adiabatic process, we can write du is equal to minus Cv into dt. So, therefore, I can write, so these two equations are equal, therefore, I can write Cv dt is equal to minus Cv dt is equal to x into dx. So, therefore, dt is equal to 1 by Cv into x dx. So, this is the expression we are getting, dt is equal to is 1 by Cv into x into dx. So, for an adiabatic process, it is Pv power gamma is a constant. Therefore, when you differentiate this expression, I can write, so you keep P as a constant, and when you differentiate V power gamma, it is gamma into V power gamma minus 1 plus you are keeping U constant and differentiating V. Similarly, keeping V constant and differentiating P, we get dP is equal to 0. So, therefore, I can write P into dV is equal to minus V by gamma into dP for n gram molecule of a gas. So, that is the equation of a state, PV is equal to RT. Now, we come to this end of this lecture. We discussed about the internal energy as a state function and what is the specific heat capacity of a gas. From specific heat of a capacity of a gas, we defined what is specific heat capacity of a gas at constant pressure and what is specific heat capacity of a gas at constant volume, and we explained the parameters regarding to concept of heat, thermodynamic equilibrium and quasi-static process, and we discussed about cooling due to adiabatic reversible process. So, these are the following questions to be answered. Explain internal energy as a state function, define specific heat of a gas, explain the concept of a heat, define quasi-static process, summarize the theory of cooling due to adiabatic reversible process. Thank you.